Out here, the day starts before the sun, with the hum of a tractor and the smell of damp earth. This is the American heartland, a place where a family's legacy is measured in acres and harvests. For decades, these fields have been more than just land. They've been a connection to the world. The soybeans, corn, and wheat grown here feed families thousands of miles away, turning small towns into vital hubs of a global economy. But today, a storm is gathering, not in the sky, but in the halls of power in Washington and Beijing. It's a trade war, fought with tariffs and economic policy, not soldiers. For many, these headlines seem distant, but for families working this land, the storm has already made landfall. The global forces of trade now determine whether a farm survives or fails. This isn't just about numbers or politics, it's about real people caught in the middle. Farmers walk their fields, wondering if anyone will buy what they grow. Small business owners on Main Street see customers disappear. Communities hold their breath, hoping for relief. Decisions made in faraway capitals have a direct impact on millions of Americans who just want to work their land. As of September 20th, 2025, the consequences of this conflict are clearer than ever. The initial shock has given way to a long, grinding struggle. We'll explore how this trade war started, escalated, and reshaped American agriculture. Behind every policy, there are real families whose futures hang in the balance. It began with a promise to rebalance global trade. Washington accused China of unfair practices, intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers. The U.S. imposed tariffs to protect American industries and jobs, making Chinese goods more expensive. The first tariffs hit in 2018, targeting electronics, machinery, and more. For decades, trade barriers had fallen. Now, the world's two largest economies were reversing course. China responded with its own tariffs, targeting American agriculture: soybeans, pork, corn. The message disrupt us, and will disrupt your heartland. The conflict escalated, billions in trade affected, global supply chains fraying. Farmers in Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska saw years of relationship building with Chinese buyers vanish overnight. China had been their single largest customer. Suddenly, that market was closing. The first shots of the trade war had been fired, and American agriculture was in the crosshairs. What started as a targeted action became a full-blown economic confrontation. More tariffs, more uncertainty. The global market's rhythm was shattered. For farmers, the impact was immediate and severe. The trade war wasn't just a policy shift, it was a seismic event for rural America. The stakes were no longer theoretical. Every new tariff meant more pain for the people who feed the world. The heartland was now the front line, and the world was watching. The impact was immediate. Crops once destined for China had nowhere to go. Grain elevators filled, silos overflowed, and some farmers stored harvests in bags on the ground, hoping for a breakthrough. With too much supply and too few buyers, prices plummeted. Soybeans hit their lowest price in a decade. Farmers lost money on every bushel sold. The financial pressure was immense. Loans taken in spring couldn't be repaid in fall. Farm debt soared, and banks grew cautious. Generational farms faced foreclosure for the first time in a century. The emotional toll matched the financial one. Farming is an identity, not just a job. Watching hard work rot in the field or selling at a loss was heartbreaking. Sleepless nights became the norm. The dream of passing the farm to the next generation faded. The unsold fields were a constant reminder of a broken promise. The market had vanished, and with it, a way of life was slipping away. The burden was more than financial. It was personal. To understand the pain, look at the soybean. For years, soybeans were the king of American exports. China bought 60% of all U.S. soybeans, worth over $14 billion a year. When China imposed a 25% tariff, demand collapsed. U.S. soybean exports to China fell by more than 75% in a year. Ships were rerouted or canceled, and the logistics chain was thrown into chaos. For farmers, it was like a tap had been turned off. No other country could absorb China's massive demand. Prices fell below the cost of production. Even a perfect crop meant losing money. Meanwhile, competitors thrived. China still needed soybeans, but now bought them from Brazil and Argentina. These countries ramped up production and signed long-term deals. The trade war, meant to help the U.S., handed a golden opportunity to its rivals. American farmers were left with a mountain of product and a crater where their market used to be. The global market had shifted overnight. The trade war didn't stop China's demand, it just changed where China bought from. Brazil emerged as the biggest winner, perfectly positioned to fill the gap. Chinese buyers shifted orders to South America, and Brazilian farmers planted more and invested in infrastructure. China signed multi-year contracts and invested in ports and railways in Brazil and Argentina. This wasn't a temporary shift, it was a global realignment. The market share American farmers lost was quickly captured by international competitors. Even if tariffs ended tomorrow, the market wouldn't snap back. China now has strong, reliable trade relationships elsewhere. U.S. farmers face a crowded, competitive global marketplace. Regaining trust and market share could take years, if it's possible at all. The trade war put America's reputation as a reliable supplier at risk. For a farmer in Nebraska, the competition is now global. The new reality trade routes can be redrawn overnight. The world moved on, and American farmers were left behind. The pain didn't stop at the farm's edge. It rippled through entire communities. Towns built around agriculture saw their economies falter. Equipment dealers, seed suppliers, and local businesses all felt the strain. Main Street diners lost customers. Grocery stores saw tighter budgets, and hardware stores sold less. As businesses closed, jobs disappeared, and the town's tax base shrank. Less money meant cuts to schools, roads, and essential services. The community's social fabric began to fray. Young people left for better opportunities, accelerating the rural brain drain. The dream of taking over the family farm became a financial trap. Empty storefronts and lost farms signaled a deeper decay. The loss of a generational farm was a loss of history and identity. Neighbors wondered who would be next. The trade war, meant to strengthen the nation, was hollowing out its rural heart. A way of life was disappearing. The trade war created a deep conflict for farmers. Many saw themselves as patriots, willing to endure pain for the country. But as the crisis dragged on, optimism faded, replaced by frustration and a sense of betrayal. The markets they lost weren't coming back quickly. Farmers felt torn between political loyalty and personal survival. Speaking out felt like betrayal, but staying silent meant accepting ruin. The pain was not just financial, it was emotional. The narrative of patriotism began to feel hollow as survival became the priority. The government responded with billions in aid, direct payments to farmers through the Market Facilitation Program. For many, these checks were a lifeline, helping pay bills and keep farms afloat. But the aid was a temporary fix, not a solution. Farmers want to earn a living from the market, not government checks. The payments created unease and sometimes left smaller producers behind. The real wound was the loss of a vital market. Dr. Evelyn Reed, an agricultural economist, explains, "The aid helped short-term, but the world has changed. China has diversified suppliers, and U.S. farmers have lost market share that's hard to win back. The longer the dispute continues, the more permanent the shift. The biggest risk: America's reputation as a reliable supplier is damaged. As of late 2025, some tensions have eased, but tariffs remain and markets haven't fully recovered. Farmers plant with caution, trying to diversify, but there's no substitute for large-scale international trade. Experts agree, only reopening markets and rebuilding relationships can truly heal the damage. The question is whether that's still possible. The future remains uncertain." The cost of the trade war has been steep. Billions in export revenue lost, farm incomes down, debt up. The government spent tens of billions bailing out the very industry it aimed to help. Competitors in South America have strengthened their global position. Beyond economics, the social cost is immense. Rural America hollowed out, families strained, traditions threatened. The ripple effects have closed businesses and pushed young people away. Was it worth it? Proponents say it was necessary to confront China's practices. But for those who lost farms and communities, the benefit feels distant. The trade war is a cautionary tale, a reminder that policies have real, human consequences. Behind every statistic, there are families whose futures are shaped by forces far beyond their control.